Hey guys, my name is Ashley and welcome back to my channel, Worth the Read, where we talk about books that are worth your time reading. Today's video is a two-part book review on The Bells by Dhonielle Clayton and The Everlasting Rose by Dhonielle Clayton, which is the sequel to The Bells. Let's jump right into it. Synopsis: The Bells are about a group of women who are grown from the ground, and their children are gifts from the goddess of beauty, who happen to fall in love with the goddess of the god of the world, or the earth. And the earth's people were known as the green. Now their skin was gray, their eyes were red, their hair was brittle, and they were considered very ugly. So the goddess of beauty gifted the world the bells, and these were young women, children that grow into young women that can manipulate the way a person looks. So you would go to the bells for beauty work, they call it, and you could change your hair color, you could change your shape, you could change your eye color, you can change the texture of your hair, you can change your bone structure, you can change any physical attribute about yourself by going to the bells. Now, for most of the Greed or Creed people, this was a way of life. But of course, like every society, only the people who could afford it ended up getting most of the beauty work done. So the first book is about the bells. So you get background history of how the bells came about, and each bell class that has grown has a favorite. And Camilla, the main character, is one of the top students in her class, and she wants to be the favorite. So they're in this boarding school, and they learn how to use their powers. They learn how to develop their powers and the proper ways of using them, what legally they can do and what they cannot do, because this is still regulated by the queen, the government of this land. And then when they come of age, they go to the main city and they put on a bazaar, like a display. They have their test subjects and they do their best job that they can do on the test subjects to try to make them look as beautiful as possible. And after that competition is done, the queen selects her favorite, and her favorite ends up going to live with her in the palace and works directly with the royal family and all their best friends and things that can come to the palace to do all the beauty work there. The other girls are dispersed around the land to other beauty salons, and that's how they live their life. That's how the Creed want to be, and that's how everything works until Camille and her group of sisters become the favorites class. Now when Camille gets to the bazaar, she does the great work on her test subject, but the test subject she had, which is a person, I keep on saying the test subject, but that's how they kind of refer to them. They don't really give the people that they work on for practice any humanity. It just seems like they treat them like test subjects. So that's why I'm saying test subjects. It's a little girl, and she really doesn't want to get the work done. She feels like she's fine the way she is, and I think that's a Easter egg that the author puts in the beginning to kind of show you that this book is going to be about the battle between doing beauty work and accepting who you are on the inside and being fine with the way you look on the outside. So she makes this little girl beautiful, but she doesn't get selected as her favorite. Her sister, her closest sister, Amber, does. And then she gets sent off to a beauty house. She does beauty work, and then she discovers that there are other bells there that she didn't grow up with. Because as far as she was told, the only bells that are existing are the bells that are in her class and her family and her sisters, and they were raised by the previous bell class who became their mothers, and that's how everybody kind of matriculates. It's the current bell class, which would be like the freshman class, and then there's the senior class who has been moved out and sent back home to raise the next class, and they kind of evolve like that. She discovers that there are other Belles, but they didn't grow up with her, and they're not her sisters, as she refers to the Belles that she grew up with. And then she starts to discover that the other Belles have deformities, and the powers, she learns that the powers they have, the Orisha, is a nutrient in their blood that allows them to manipulate people's physical appearance. And if you use it too much, you become yourself deformed. And that's when you start to realize something is going on in this city. It's not just, oh, everybody wants to look beautiful. We're going to go get our skin done, change our physical appearance, and then go home. She discovers that the Belles that weren't born with her class are overworked. They're treated like slaves. And that there is a whole world that she knew nothing about. So she ends up, her sister Amber, the one that was selected as a favorite, ends up being kicked out of the palace, and she ends up taking over as a favorite. And then she discovers a whole new world with the queen and the princess. Now, I'm not going to go into too much about it because it's really detailed, and I would love for you to read it because I enjoyed the second book more than I did the first. But you have to read the first book because you'll be lost in the second book. The first book ends, the second book immediately picks up. And that's what I enjoyed about the second book. So my feelings towards the first book, I would give the first book 2.5 stars. Yeah, 2.5, more so to the 3 side. It was really slow in the beginning. The girls, Camille, I think she designed the character to be very naive, and it was just like, why are you so naive? Why are you not realizing what's going on sooner? So I think that made the book kind of slow in the beginning. And then when the action picked up, when she realized that the queens, okay, I had to tell you this. The queen has 2 daughters, and one is in a deep sleep for some reason they can't figure out, and one is her younger daughter, who is absolutely horrid. She tracks people by their blood. She gives everybody that she loves jewelry, and the jewelry kind of samples their blood and does all this crazy stuff. She's nasty, she's evil, and the queen knows that her youngest daughter is not fit to become queen, so she tries to find a way to cure her oldest daughter. And that's the conflict that Camilla has. She wants Camilla to try to bring her oldest daughter back to life, and she just takes forever to make the decision. And then when she finally does make the decision, it's too late. We're at the end of the book, and the book is over. So one thing I did not like about this book, it just took too long to get started. It was just like, okay, when are we going to start making moves? When are things going to start to happen? And when things started happening, it was so late in the book, and when we were finally into it, it was just like, it's a wrap. With me giving the first book, 2.5 stars, I really wasn't looking forward into reading the second book. I was just like, this first book was okay. By the ending, things start to move. She discovers that, the whole city is corrupt, the queen is corrupt, and she needs to take this system down because they said something in the book, which basically, people were spending more money on beauty work than food for their family. So take that in. People were spending more money on their appearance than they were on buying sustenance for their families. So she realizes that being a belle and having beauty work and doing beauty work for other people was becoming an obsession to this kingdom, and a very unhealthy obsession. But because there was so much demand for it, they did not have enough belles to supply the demand. So they started to create their own belles, not naturally belles sent from the goddess of beauty, which is a problem. Kind of like cloning, if you saw Us. Kind of like cloning. So she ends up escaping, and the second book, to me, is the better of the two. picks up directly where they left off in the first. She escapes from the city. She finds one of her sisters that escaped prior to her leaving the Queen's palace. And now the mission is to bring down the princess. Take her down, stop this obsession with beauty work. And the second book, I give 3.5 stars because it was more action-packed. You learned more about the resistance that was going on in the city. And it was less about the beauty work and more about the flaws in the system and the government foundation in this world. I enjoyed the second book. I fully recommend the second book, but you have to read the first one. So if you want to read this series, and I'm not going to go into major detail of the second book, I do not know if she's writing a third one. The way the second book ended, I could see her stopping it there because it came to a complete ending. But I also could see her picking it up as well. So hopefully it's a third book. The second book, like I said, I gave 3.5 stars. The first book, I gave 2 1/3 stars. But you got to read the first one to get to the second book. So just do this. Get through the first book. I'm telling you, it will pay off when you read the second one. But you got to get through the first one. And it'll be hard to get through if you're like me because it was very... I hate books where the main character is making dumb mistakes, foolish mistakes, and it's just like, you didn't see that happening? But it's a book. So I guess it's still entertaining for some, but you have to get through the first book to get to the meat and the potatoes and the steak of it all, which is the second book. I believe is the second book. So that is my review of The Bells by Dhonielle Clayton and Everlasting Rose by Dhonielle Clayton. I'm kind of torn because the first book I would say was not worth the read at all, but the second I would say is worth the read, but you can't read the second one without the first one. So it's kind of like you made the decision if you want to go down this road or not. I chose to go down it. I enjoyed it. The second one. The first one I kind of dredged through. But let me know if you read The Bells. There's plenty of other reviews. I've come across a lot of people who felt the same way I did about the first one. It was kind of like, I could take it or leave it. But I enjoyed the second one. That's it. Let me know how you guys are doing. Many blessings. Philly, say what's up. If you're out there in the world, how are you? How's your life going? Let me know in the comments. I'm back. It feels good to make videos again. I'm no longer sick. I was sick, then I went through a reading slump, but now I'm back on the ball. And I'm trying to reach my goals of 30 books of this year. Let me know what your reading goals are for this year in the comments. And like I said, many blessings. Peace out from Worth to Read.